So tell me how you got into it and how you got out. Like, what's the process? Like, you know, if somebody was to hear your story, tell me your testimony.
I mean, I guess, you know, when we try to figure out where addiction really starts, I mean, I guess it started with the first drink, you know, and then drinking led to more drinking. And when I was younger, and even when I first started DJing in nightclubs, I was anti-drug. Like, you couldn't even say the word marijuana in front of me. It would end our friendship. And then one night, I let myself get a little too drunk, and somebody offered me some cocaine. And even though I knew not to try it, I still did, because I was worried about, I was wanting to be able to drive home. It changed everything about me. It changed who I was. It changed the way my brain worked. It changed the way my priorities. And I went from hating drugs to doing lots of cocaine every day. And it consumed my life for, I mean, over 12, 13 years. And I thought I was what some people call a functioning addict, which is a myth. There's no such thing as a functioning addict. You're just an addict that hasn't fell completely apart yet.
Right.
And I did that as a DJ, and I traveled the country thinking that my life was perfect until 2018. And then I met a girl, and she had meth and didn't want to let me try it. She's like, no, this will ruin your life. And, of course, me thinking, I was like, what are you talking about? I'm a functioning addict. I can do that. So I did it, and it made me even worse. My priorities were already messed up. I didn't see back then how I was not there for my kids, how I was going through marriages like most people go through underwear. I mean, I went through 3 marriages, you know, in less than 15 years. And I didn't see that as a problem. I didn't see that as a drug problem. I saw it as like, oh, they were the problem, or maybe I'm just not a good person. But I never localized it to drugs. It was when the meth started, I lost the complete inability to live a normal life. My entire day was consumed with getting high, how to get high, how to make money to get high. I even lost my career as a DJ, which was crazy because in 2008, 2016, I won an award for being a professional DJ.
Right.
And just 2 years later, I had the reputation of being a drug addict and a drug dealer, and they wouldn't touch me anymore.
My goodness.
So my only option was, of course, I mean, the real options were to get clean, but in my addict mind at that moment, my only option was to keep selling and using drugs. At this point, my use had gotten completely out of hand. I went from just smoking meth to now I'm shooting it up with an IV. And I'm just a horrible person. Like, I'd steal from myself. I mean, I didn't care who you were. I'd steal from you, I finally got in some legal trouble in 2018. I got arrested. Got out on probation, only to get arrested again. Got out on bond and got arrested again. So I was arrested 3 times, and that's in a 2-month period.
Oh, my goodness.
The last time I got arrested, my family finally said, maybe you need to sit down somewhere. And so I did about 2 years, and I went to a rehab through the prison system. And I really thought I had recovery. Like, I got out August 21st of 2020, and I thought I was ready. I thought I knew everything. I thought I had the tools. I got out on my mom's birthday, which was awesome. I got to spend her birthday with her. 7 days after after I got out, she passed away.
Oh, wow.
And I learned that I didn't have the tools. I didn't have what it takes. I didn't have the coping skills. I didn't have the support system. And I went right back into addiction. Of course, I did the same old lies that we tell ourselves. This is just for now. This is just because I don't want to feel. I'm only doing this week. But COVID saved me because I was able to wear a mask around people, and you couldn't tell exactly how high I really was.
Right.
And, of course, after the funeral, I continued using. I was back to the IV. When you relapse, you go back even stronger and harder than your original use.
That's what they say. Yes.
And I dropped down 6'1", and I dropped down to 170 pounds. I was a shell of myself. I was running all over the place, and it was just a matter of time before I got into some legal trouble again, and I got busted with 95 grams of meth.
Oh, my goodness.
In Collin County. I bonded out And then a few months later, got busted again in Harris County.
Oh, my.
I bonded out, and this story sounds familiar, doesn't it? But this time, instead of staying, I went on the run, and I took off because I wasn't ready to face my fears. I wasn't ready to face the fact that I just messed up. While being on the run, I decided, it's time to turn myself in. These people put money out for me to get out of jail. I can't cost them all that, $90,000 worth of bond money.
Right.
So my plan was to turn myself in after I went and saw my son in Oklahoma. Well, God had a different plan for me because the same day he let me see my son, but I got arrested in Oklahoma and extradited back to Texas. While I was in Oklahoma, I got arrested July 14th, 2021. And I continued to use drugs in jail. Matter of fact, the drugs in jail were better than the drugs out of jail. And I had some good friends that were sober that were trying to help me get right. And I had one friend in particular that was, making sure I had money on my commissary bucks so that I would be comfortable as possible. I was up for 7 days on a 7-day binge, and my friend sent me a Bible. And I didn't become this crazy holy roller, but it was just that Bible kind of woke me up. It was like, man, you're in here, you're going to die. They're out there trying to save your life, and you're just spending their money on more drugs. You're in jail, and you're still high. What is it going to take to get this crap together? And it was in that moment that I had what a lot of people in recovery call that moment of clarity, or where we say rock bottom has a basement.
Right.
And it changed. Everything just changed for me. August 9th, 2021, a little over 22 months ago, I made the decision to never use drugs again, and I haven't looked back. It hasn't always been easy. There's been days where, life sucks. Well, most people don't talk about when we get in recovery is you still got to live. You still got to have feelings, You're still going to suffer loss.
Right.
A lot of people try to discredit clean time when you're locked up. There's more drugs in jails and better drugs in jails, and you can't go nowhere. When I'm out here in the regular world, if somebody's doing drugs, I can walk away. When you're in jail, if your cellmate's doing drugs, you just mind your business or do it with him. Those are your two options.
Right.
And so it was a whole lot different, but I knew then that it was time to, and that was it for me. I had a really close friend tell me that it was, I was going to help people. She said, Jerry, that's who you are. You help people. Now, are you going to help people inside jail or outside jail? That's up to you. And so I was helping them in jail when I was in there, but when I got out, I said, that's what I want to do. So as soon as I got out, I immediately enrolled in college, get my bachelor's in counseling with an emphasis in addiction. So I'm on my way to being an actual addiction counselor. Right now, I'm a recovery specialist at a local rehab in Austin. I do the social media videos to help just try to reach people and normalize recovery. That's real big for me. I can't stand it when we see people on the streets and people laugh at them, or I see a lot of times on social media where they'll record them and belittle them. And I'm like, man, that's somebody's mother, somebody's son, that's somebody's family member. And you're highlighting the worst part of their life,
Yeah.
Because the thing is, people can recover. I have people ask me all the time how I did it. Of course, having that clarity was what got me there. But it's just doing the next right thing. I just do the little things right. When I got out, I didn't want to pay all my fines and fees and get my license back. Who wants to do that? Who wants to give the county $6,000 in fees? I didn't. But I knew if I didn't, then I would continue to just do illegal stuff. And so I set up payment plans, and before I knew it, it was all paid off. I had my license, I had a car. I was helping people on social media when somebody reached out to me and told me that I should apply for this job at a rehab center. And I got it. Now I facilitate groups, and I just try to help people. Because I don't know, if anybody would have came to me when I was in my addiction, if it would have made it in sooner or not. Right. I know that some people did try, but I know that sometimes, all it takes is just hearing the right thing from a person you don't even know, and it can change your whole life.
I believe that.
So that's kind of what I do now. And it's a different lifestyle. I mean, I wake up every day with the mindset that today's the day I'm going to say something that's going to inspire somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And what's awesome is that they don't even realize it. Like that, I work with addicts and alcoholics every day, and I work with all kinds. I mean, some of the people in my rehab center, they're, young 18, 20-year-old kids that started off bad. And I have a client that's in his 70s
mm-hmm.
that's still trying to get it right. I mean, and I'm talking people that are painters and farmers to people that are police officers and lawyers. Like, addiction affects everybody.
It does.
There's no race. There's no money amount you can have in your book. There's none of that. Like, it affects everybody. It's a huge problem now because now they're dying in record numbers.
Yeah.
From things that they don't even know they're taking.
Yeah.
And so it's even scarier.
And the stuff that they're coming out with now on the streets is you don't even know what it is. It's literally
exactly. You don't know that. I mean, the fentanyl crisis is out. It's crazy, but I would be scared of marijuana, and I know a lot of people find marijuana to be acceptable, and I don't judge anybody for anything. However, I mean, they're putting fentanyl in everything. Like, I'm afraid to buy a soda if it's not completely sealed. I mean,
mm-hmm.
the world has gone crazy, and so I just hope that my message can reach just one person and know that, I went from being in what I thought a good life to being homeless. I was behind the dumpster of a Walmart, shooting drugs, running from the police, running from my life, and somehow I found recovery, and I did it through just doing the next right thing. And I want people to know that as long as you have air in your lungs, like as long as you're alive, you got a chance to recover. Mm-hmm. Since this has happened, I have rebuilt my relationship with all 5 of my kids, which I didn't have before. Naturally, when you're in addiction, and it was tough on them. I have a 19-year-old, 2 17-year-olds, a 14 and a 12-year-old, and it's affected each of them differently, and they each have handled it differently. But they have each forgiven me now. Like, they see that I'm clean and in a good headspace. Like, they're proud that I'm their dad. My son's in the Army now. He's at basic training, and before he left for basic, he would text me every day and tell me how proud he was. And there's no amount of money in the world I could make that would top that. I used to be very money motivated, and that's all that mattered in my life. But I get it now. Life's about so much more than money, or so much more than what people think about me. I just try to every day just do the next right thing. If that some inspiration to get there, then freaking awesome. And I make sure people know that my phone always rings. Call me, email me, text me. I don't care. I have all my social media sites. I'm on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and it's all the same, JerBear Recovery. And I have a bunch of videos on there where I talk about things to do when you're triggered, things to do if you relapse, what to do if your son's on drugs. Because a lot of parents don't know how to handle that.
Right.
And I guess if I was talking to a parent, I would tell them just love them. Don't enable them. Don't keep giving them money. That doesn't help either. But don't stop loving them. Just don't give up, because we never know when they're going to get it.
Exactly.
So
and it could take their whole life, to figure out that they really have an addiction, that they really can't control it.
Yeah, a lot of addicts don't think they're even addicts. They think, oh, I got this, or I just use for fun, but if they haven't fallen apart yet, they're going to, because that's what happens.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 3 endings in that life, and that's jails, institutions, and death. That's it. There's never a happy ending. There's not one. People, they do them because drugs are fun. And I mean, initial use is fun. Of course, it's got to be, or people would never do it. But the little bit of fun that you get, the 5 minutes of euphoria, or the whatever party you have that's good for that night, in comparison to what you lose, your family, your finances, your freedom, your soul, that fun's not worth it. And the joy that I have in my life now, being 22 months and 6 days, I think, is sober. I mean, it's amazing. It's the greatest feeling in the world. I can't. It's hard to even put words to it. yesterday at work, I got to teach guys about, the 8 dimensions of wellness and, and just relapse prevention plans and what to do if we do fall. Because some people think that, just because you're in recovery that you can't ever fail. I mean, sometimes we fall back down, but, when kids fall back down, we don't keep them down. We pick them up. So if an addict falls back down, don't belittle them or tear them down. Just pick them back up, dust them off.
Right.
And that's what we got to do. That's how we got to treat everybody. And that's, I think it works for addiction, but we can also probably cross that over to mental health, because most people that battle addiction, there's some co-occurring disorders.
Right.
And that's something I even see that about myself, that I have underlying trauma that I still seek therapy through now that I didn't realize I had. Okay. So it's just, like I said, I guess, I don't like cliches because they're annoying to me. However, they're cliches for a reason. And so when people say just do the next right thing, it's because it works. That's what I guess that's the one thing I want people to really know is that works. Just do the next right thing.
Yes, and I would like to tell you, hearing your testimony, I know personally, I haven't done the whole drug addiction, but I've been married to someone who has been a long time ago, and I personally seen that firsthand on what it can do in a family, and I'm very proud of you for staying clean, for taking that step. For, doing what's best for you and your family, because when it boils down to it, all of it, it's you that has to make that decision, and I'm proud of your decision.
Thank you.
And the fact that you're doing this to reach other people and to educate them on literally the tunnel that they can go through to reach the bottom, but that there is hope, but they have to choose it. And I believe that is a very powerful message in itself. Since I've recorded this, do you mind if I use this audio for the YouTube channel?
Anything you want.
Okay.
I'd like as many people to hear it as possible. Cause
I just don't think I could write it as good as you said it. And, to me, just hearing it, it's literally, I just stopped fiddling with stuff on my desk and stuff because your story is so impactful that, it grabs attention because people need to hear it.
If it helps one person, it's worth the effort,
Absolutely.
That's the way I see it every day. If just one thing I said gives one person some type of seed that can change them, for the better, then that's how I feel. Like everything I've gone through in my life, it sucks. There's some dark days. But if I had to go through those dark days so that I can help somebody else not have to go through them, It's worth it to me, and I get to do that for my kids. Because I have kids that have trauma, and so now I get to teach them how to handle their trauma and how to have coping skills. And it sucked, but it's at the end of the day, after finding recovery, and it feels worth it.
It is worth it, and keep going. My husband that I'm married to now has been clean for 12 years. So we've been together for 8. So he was clean for 4 years before I met him. But I believe that every person in your life is meant to be there, but God has to prepare them for you first. So I believe God prepared my husband for me before I met him, because I couldn't deal with anybody who was drinking or doing drugs or anything like that. So God had to make him stop. And he did that by putting him behind bars too. So, the story, the whole testimony that you have is so relatable because I see both sides of the story. I see what my husband had went through, what he told me, the recovery process. I see the person who's not yet recovered disappear. He literally disappeared off the map. So, my kids have trauma from that guy disappearing. And, the fact that there's hope in your story and that you want to help other people, I really do applaud that.
Thank you. Yes. I appreciate that. Like I said, sometimes it's beyond words. When I park my car and go to work, I have to stop and be like, wow.
I'm going to do this today.
Okay.
Yes,
it's great.
Thank
you.
I'm so glad to hear from you. last time I actually talked to, this is off the record, it won't be in the interview part, so but I was like the last time I actually talked to you, you were DJing for a strip club, and I think you were in Louisiana or something. Where were you? I can't remember.
I think I might have been in Memphis.
I think you were, but yeah. you were a DJ at that time, and I think I kind of I went to a different Facebook. Me and my husband had a Facebook together, so I went to that Facebook, and I turned this one off temporarily. But now I'm connected with you, and I'm seeing your progress. And Jerry, I'm proud of you.
Thank you. If you run across anybody that needs to talk, just give them my information. Like that's what I do. Like I'm happy to answer my phone and just talk them off the ledge, remind them why recovery is important or why they need to, give it a try. Because a lot of people, they just don't understand how or why. And I have the resources now. I can help people get into sober living. I can help them get into a rehab, depending on their insurance level, like what kind of rehab they would get into. But even if they have no income, no insurance, I have resources that can help everybody from, like I said, lawyers with amazing homeless people that have nothing. If they want to make the change, I can help them make it.
That's beautiful, and I love that.